Oh boy, do we have a fun discussion to have today, because there's some questions I have about this. I feel like a lot of people have probably seen the headlines about this story and didn't think much of it. They looked at the fancy, sexy looking headlines and were like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I understand why this could happen. There's a potential laundry list of reasons why this could have happened, so it makes sense that it did happen. But when you kind of clear the surface off and you actually go into more of the roots of why it actually happened, I'm actually left with a lot of questions. I'm actually left with questions about the validity of these claims, if that is indeed the root of the reasoning behind what happened. Now, what am I alluding to here? What is so mysterious about it? We're talking about arguably the most impactful game of 2023 for the Nintendo Switch, if not for all platforms. This was a game that captivated a nation. It honestly captivated the world. It was bringing people together. I made a video covering it. People seemed really interested in it. And it's a game that I just feel made a big impact on the world of video games. And with this follow-up story, it seems like it's made an even bigger impact than we all realized. I, of course, am talking about The Last Hope, Dead Zone Survive. And I know what you're saying to yourself, well, RGT, that's not ringing a bell. What do you mean you covered this on the channel? Oh no, I did cover this on the channel, but instead of going with its, birth name, the name that it was given afterwards, I decided to bring it back to its roots, to its natural name, to what it should have been called in the first place. The Last of Us part crap. Like, when you look at the artwork for this game and what they're trying to convey with this game, it screams The Last of Us. Like, look at this image here. I'll put it up on the screen. It looks like The Last of Us. It's giving that same sort of vibe as far as the artwork is concerned. Now, I do have a video up on this game on my channel. It's actually a pretty funny video because of all the things that we encounter in it, but I'm gonna steal my own video and use some of the footage here just to talk over, because you don't want to look at my ugly face the whole time. But this game, really, although the design, kind of initially gives you the Last of Us sort of impression as far as the artwork is concerned, once you actually play the game, it's really nothing like The Last of Us. Like, as far as the story is concerned, it's pretty cliche. You can clearly see what is happening while you're playing this game as far as the relationship between the two characters. It's all very stock. It's an asset flip game. It's one of those things where you type in zombie in a Unity program, and this is probably the default settings that pop up, and you just sort of plug and play them into your game. Now, this is not a new practice by any stretch of the imagination. These asset flip games are all over the Nintendo Switch eShop because there's no quality control on the eShop. As long as you have a game that functions and the menu system functions, Nintendo will approve it. And that's a good thing, and that's a bad thing, depending on who you ask. Me personally, obviously some of these things are a bit predatory, and they're trying to trick people with things like naming and artwork and stuff like that. So I get why people are pissed off. Now, when you look at the character in the game that's supposed to represent Ellie, whose name is not Ellie, but when you look at this character, there's a pretty strong resemblance. There's a pretty strong resemblance to the Ellie character, but it's not a one-for-one thing. It's not a complete sprite rip from The Last of Us put into this crap-ass game for the Nintendo Switch. Well, The Last Hope, or the Last Hope, Dead Zone Survival, that name is so stupid. I keep wanting to say The Last of Us. The fake Last of Us has now been removed from all eShops in all regions. You go to the UK eShop, no longer there. United States, no longer there. I actually bought this game on the German eShop for 99 cents, whatever the equivalent in German money is, 99 cents. I think it's, I don't know what it is. I'll just plead ignorance. I think it's euros. I'm pretty sure it's euros, but just for the sake of argument, I'll say 99-cent equivalent in that shop. But now the game has mysteriously disappeared. It's gone. You can't access it anymore. All traces of it have been removed from Nintendo's official websites in those regions and from their official eShop stores in all regions. So when you think about it, you're like, okay, perfect. This company got the message, because this company that's behind the game has a laundry list of crap ass games that they have made. They all suck. They're all terrible. They're all stupid Unity asset flips where you just buy some stock assets, you put them into a game, and then you're like, I made a video game. It's like, no, you really didn't. Like, you know, at the very basis of it, like, yes, you technically did something, but you didn't really make a video game. You more so made an experience out of pre-done assets, and there's nothing wrong with using pre-done assets, but when your entire game is based on that, and it's a simple copy-paste, and you constantly re-release these games under different names and stuff like that, obviously, you're just trying to trick people into getting a quick buck. But maybe they learned a lesson with this. You know, that's why people, upon looking at the title, The Last Hope, Dead Zone Survive, the Last of Us clone for the Nintendo Switch has been removed from the eShop, you would celebrate. Like, yeah, we showed them, man. We showed them. RGT might have spent 99 euros on it, which is the equivalent of 99 cents, but we showed them because we made fun of them. But no, because when you actually look at the reasoning potentially behind it, at least according to Eurogamer, I'm kind of at a loss for words with it, but I figure I'll find a way to talk about it nonetheless, because allegedly, this game was not pulled by the developer themselves. This game was actually pulled by Nintendo at the behest of Sony. Sony has allegedly contacted Nintendo to have them take this game down. Now, where is everyone sort of getting that information from, and why is that the story that Eurogamer is running with? That's a pretty bold claim to make if that's not actually the case, which upon first glance, I didn't think was the case. Until you dig a little bit deeper. I like to do things like actually know what I'm talking about, people. I know I come off like an idiot sometimes, but I like to be at least somewhat versed in the topics I'm talking about. And when you look at it, Sony has copyright claimed trailers for this game on YouTube. Okay. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. I understand this game kind of reminds people of The Last of Us. I understand that. I understand the dynamic between the two characters, although paper thin is trying to replicate The Last of Us. I understand that the sprite for Ellie in the game, or the fake Ellie, I forget her name, I think it was Ava or something. I understand that sprite of the character, of the girl in the game, looks a lot like Ellie from The Last of Us. I understand that. The problem is, it's not Ellie. The problem is, none of these assets being used in the game appear to be assets from The Last of Us. So on what grounds are you copyright claiming these trailers and potentially telling Nintendo to take this game down when none of that stuff is yours? It might be sort of inspired. Clearly it's inspired by yours. Clearly it's designed to fool people. And I don't think that that's ethical. And I'm not trying to support the company who made this game, but I'm questioning where's the line here? This is not The Last of Us ported to the Nintendo Switch. This isn't assets used from The Last of Us brought over to a game on the Nintendo Switch. This is a game that, I mean, you could almost say it's satire. If I'm the company behind the game, I'm like, oh, it's satire. You know, we're making fun of that game. Obviously, it's low quality. You know, we're just kind of picking fun at that game. I don't understand why Sony would have any ground to claim anything within this game, because nothing within the game is theirs. It might be based on it, it might be inspired by it, but it's not a one-to-one replication. It's not the same game by far. I mean, The Last of Us, I'm not the hugest fan of the world of it, but it's a far superior game to this. All because the character happens to resemble a character from another game. I mean, where do we draw the line with that? Obviously, it was inspired by Ellie, but is it Ellie? No, the character has a different name. The character looks slightly different than the Ellie character. So why is Sony allowed to claim these trailers on YouTube and more than likely tell Nintendo, hey, take this game down, it infringes on our copyright, when technically it doesn't? I don't know. That's where things just get really weird for me, because the game itself can burn in hell. The game itself sucks. I think it's terrible. You can't buy it anymore. So I guess my Nintendo Switch is now worth a lot of money because it has this game on it. Remember when Meme Run was pulled from the Wii U eShop and Wii U's were selling for a high dollar amount that had Meme Run on them? And of course the Flappy Bird stuff with the iPhones. No, now I'm in control because I've got The Last Hope, Dead Zone Survive. The game could burn in hell. The developer sucks and they just do asset flips and they don't deserve anyone's money. But I also don't feel like this is Sony's battle to fight, because none of these assets are theirs. They don't own anything within this game, and all because the game is clearly inspired by The Last of Us and definitely draws from elements from the game as far as the character is concerned. The girl in question, I don't think it's enough to warrant litigation and demand that Nintendo take this game down. I don't know. That's just me talking, though. That's me talking. I don't have a background in law or anything like that. Have spent a good amount of my youth in courtrooms, but you know, that was because of my stupid mess ups, not because of anything else. But you know, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, man. I don't know how I feel about this. Game developers, feel free to reach out to me and tell me if I'm wrong on this. And if I'm wrong on it, you know, so be it. I will take my L's. I don't care. You know, it is what it is. This is just my opinion on the story. But my opinion, I feel like, is rooted in reality. And the fact that Sony just came along and did that, that's kind of an unhealthy precedent, because couldn't Nintendo, you know, do things where they feel that, you know, a game on a Sony or an Xbox platform is emulating something that they want to do? I mean, where do we draw the line with this? Where do we draw the line? I don't know. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below, though. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your feedback in the comments. Trying to think of how I wrap up videos, because I just had a mind blank out. Subscribe if you're new. Let's hit 500,000 subscribers this year. Tell your friends too, because your friends might like me. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.